Hi, welcome to the Gemara on Chav Zayin Amud Aleph. We're starting about 14 lines up from the bottom with the next quote, the next and final quote from our Mishnah, V'chen b'motrehen. So too with the leftovers, or with the change, meaning our whole Mishnah is talking about you sell X and you use the money to buy Y, and you can only use the money to buy the thing that is the next level or that is a level up in Kedusha. V'chen b'motrehen means the same is true even if you have money left over, so you sold something for $100 and you bought something for $75, that $15 of change that you got back is still bound by those same restrictions in terms of what you can spend it on. Amar Rava, Lo shanu ela shemachru v'hotiru. This ruling of the Mishnah is true only when you sell something and have money left over. Aval gabu v'hotiru mutar. But if you raised money, if you collected money and you have money left over, that is permissible, meaning you can use the money for whatever you want. Rashi explains, Aval gabu ma'ot min hatzibor. So you raised money from the congregation. You said, everyone, please donate money. L'tzorach sefer Torah, so that we can buy a sefer Torah. V'kna'uhu, and then they bought the sefer Torah. V'notar bi'adan min hazamim, and some of the money is left over, so it didn't cost quite as much as you thought it was going to cost, or you raised extra. Mutar lahoridan, that money can be brought down in Kedusha, shaharei adayin lo ba'u l'shimush Kedusha chamura, because it hasn't yet been used for serious Kedusha purposes. In other words, the money that was raised, even though you said that it's for the Sefer Torah, it never actually became holy by buying a Sefer Torah, whereas when you sell a Sefer Torah, as in the case in the Mishnah, that money has Kedusha, and so even the leftovers can only be used in these specific ways. That's Rava's statement. Eitzvei Abaye. Abaye brings a contradiction from a Braita. B'med dvarim amurim, about what is this being said, meaning what case is being talked about in the Mishnah. Shelo hitnu, where they didn't make a condition, where they didn't make a stipulation. Aval hitnu afil d'chsusia mutar. But if they did make a condition, if they did specifically say at the time of the sale that you could use the money for whatever you wanted or for something not holier, then you can even use the money to buy a duchsusia, which will be translated later on. Hechidami, so now Abaye is explaining the Braita. Hechidami, what's the case here? If you want to say that it's a case of them selling money and having money, selling something holy and having money left over, kihinu mai have. What effect does stipulating have? What does it matter if they made a condition? Rashi explains, kihinu mai have had make kedushahen. It shouldn't matter whether or not you make a condition. A stipulation shouldn't make a difference. I'm selling a sefer Torah, so I can say I'm only selling it on condition that I can use the money for something else, but who cares? The Kedusha still transfers to the money, right? It's make Kedusha and it's still holy money, and so Abaye assumes that can't be what the Braita is talking about. Ela shigabu v'hotiru. No, so it must be a case of collecting money and having money left over. That must be the case that the Braita is talking about. Tama dehitnu, and the reason that it's okay to use the leftover money that was raised for whatever purpose you want is because you made a specific condition. When you raised the money, you said, if we have extra, we're going to use it for whatever we want. Haloi hitznu lo. So if they hadn't made a condition, then they would not be able to use the extra money. This contradicts Rava because Rava didn't have the need for a t'nai. Rava said, no, just, it's fine as long as all you did was raise the money. You can use the extra for whatever you want. And Abaye says this Braita proves no. You can only, even when you're raising money, you can only use the extra money for something secular if you made a specific t'nai in advance. L'olam shemachru v'hotiru. So the Gemara says, no, actually, the Braita has to be about a case where you sold it, where the thing was sold, and then they had money left over. V'hachi ka'amar. And this is what it's really saying. This is what the Braita really means to say. B'med dvarim amurim. What case is being discussed? What are we dealing with? Shelo hitnu shivatu be'ha'ir b'ma'amad anshe ha'ir. That the seven city elders didn't make a t'nai in this city gathering. But if the 7 city elders did make this t'nai, did make this condition when they gathered together, then they can even use it for dursusia. So, in other words, we're adjusting things slightly and saying that we're only restricting things. We're only restricting the extra money in a sale case, and it's only when the Shivatu V'Ha'ir didn't make the condition. But if the Shivatu V'Ha'ir did make a condition that you could use the money for something else, then in fact it does override this concern of Dmei Kedusha, and in fact the extra money, the change, would be freed up to be able to be used for other things. Amar le Abaye lahahu merabanan dehavim misader manita kame to Rav Sheshet. Abaye said to the rabbi who was reciting Mishnayot before Rav Sheshet. He was someone who learned before Rav Sheshet, who sort of served Rav Sheshet. Mi shamei mi Rav Sheshet my dursusia. Mi, remember, is hayim. Right? Did you hear from Rav Sheshet what a dursusia is? What does this word mean? Amar le, so this rabbi said back to him, Hachi amar Rav Sheshet. This is what Rav Sheshet said, Parsha Demata. And Rashi explains Parsha Demata is it's the horse and rider that would be kept by a city, kind of kept ready at all times to go take messages to the government, like a town messenger. And so this rider, this messenger could even live in this place, right? So once you make this t'nai, it allows you to sell the holy item and use the proceeds, let's say, to buy a house for this guy, or even for the most profane purposes. Amar Abaye. Abaye says in response to being told what dursusia means, Hilkach haitzor b'merabanan tishama le milta v'yada perusha. Therefore, Hilkach is therefore, a tzor b'merabanan, a talmid chacham who doesn't know the meaning of a word, right? There's a milta, there's a word, and he doesn't know the meaning. Lishale kamei deshachiach kamei rabanan. He should ask someone who frequently spends time with rabbis, somebody who hangs out with a lot of talmidei chachamim. Tzlo efshar delo shamile min gavra rabba, because it's not possible that he wouldn't have heard it from a great man. In other words, he's just sort of patting himself on his back for uncovering this methodology of finding out what words mean. Amar Rabbi Yochanan mishum Rabbi Meir, bnei ha'ir shahalchu le'ir acheret upasku alehen tzedakah notznin. A group of people from a city who go to a different city, and in the other city they make a claim on their tzedakah. They get to this other city, and the people in that city say, we're collecting tzedakah now. Please, everyone's giving $50. Please give $50, or please give some amount of money. Notznin. So they're supposed to give money in that city that they came to. Ukashehen ba'in, and when they leave the city, when they go back to their home city, mevi'in otai mahen, they take that money back from the gabei tzedakah, umefarnasin ba aniyei Iran, and they use it to support the poor people of their city. So in other words, they give tzedakah, but they don't really give it. They just sort of give it to the gabbai to hold on to, and then they take it back with them when they go. And Rashi explains, notznin otal gabei otahir kidei shelo yechashtum beposkim ve'inan notznin. They give it to the gabbai tzedakah even though they're going to get it back when they leave, just for appearances, so that they won't be suspected of promising to give tzedakah. Poskim is like allocating tzedakah, ve'inan notznin, and not actually giving it. It would sort of look bad if they said, yeah, we're going to give, but they don't actually give. So when they leave, Rashi says, v'chozrim koman, and they're going back to their home city, tovim otam min hagabayim v'farnasin ba aniyei Iran. They take that money back with them, and they give it to the poor people of their own city. Tanya Namihachi, we also have a bright that supports this. Bnei ha'ir shehalchu le'ir acheret upasku alehem tzedakah notnin. When people from a city go to another city and they're asked for tzedakah, they give it. Ukeshehen ba'in mevi'in otah imahen. And when they leave, they bring it with them. V'yachid shehalach le'ir acheret upasku alav tzedakah tinaten la'aniyei otah ha'ir. But an individual, when it's just one person who travels from one city to another, and the Gabei Tzedakah ask that person for money, he gives it to the poor people of that city. In other words, you don't get to take it back with you if you're just an individual who's traveled to another city. Rav Huna Gazer Ta'anita. Rav Huna declared a ta'anit. He declared a fast. Al Gabe Rav Chana Bar Chanilai. And so, in response to declaring this fast, Chana Bar Chanilai and all the people of his city came to Rav Huna. Al Gabe Rav Chana Bar Chanilai ve'chol bnei Matya. Ramu alayhu tzedakah. So they came to Rav Huna's town. So the people in Rav Huna's town said, "Okay, give us tzedakah." They cast an obligation for tzedakah upon them. V'yahavu, and they gave it to them. Right? Rav Chana Bar Chanilai and his fellow citizens gave it in this new city. Ki ba'u lemete amrule notvalan mar v'nizol v'nefarnis ba'aniyei matin. When it came time for them to leave, they said to Rav Huna, "Okay, give us back the money, and we'll use it to support the people of our city, the poor people of our city." Amar lahu, but Rav Huna said back to them, Tanina. We learned in the Mishnah, meaning it's already been taught, referencing something that's previously been taught. But Medvarim Amurim, about what case is this being said? Meaning that the money should be returned. B'she'ein sham chaver ir. When there's no town scholar. Aval yesham chaver ir, but when there is a chaver ir, when there is a town scholar, when there is someone who's sort of responsible there, tinaten lechaver ir, then it should be given to the chaver ir. So in other words, Rav Huna is saying, no, the idea that the money should be returned to you, that's only if in the town that you've come to there's sort of no one in charge. But if there is someone in charge, you give it to that person to distribute. And how much more so in this case, because my poor people, and your poor people all rely on me. Meaning, it seems like Rav Huna is saying, really, even though you live in a different city, everyone in this whole region is dependent on me in some ways. He's the Gadol Hador, he's that effective. And so there's really no point since I'm a responsible person anyway, and I'm even going to be responsible for these people, there's no point in my giving you back the money. Okay, we'll stop here.